the picture again. So it's on the way to yes, you can see. It's on the way to Kaduna. And, you know, I went there to do a documentary almost 2 weeks ago. And they told me that if you try to travel on that road, anything from 10 p.m., you're on your own. Because once it gets dark, people are reluctant to use the road. The people are experiencing what we call peace of the graveyard, because these boys can come at any time. And the situation in which as early as 7:30, they are barging into people's homes, dragging them out, and taking them into the bush. It's not palatable at all. According to them, 12 were arrested, 12 were abducted, but the army was able to rescue 5. I don't know whether that situation has improved. Maybe we've been able to rescue all of them, but as at this morning, residents of the community said that only 5 had been rescued by the army. The other guys are still with these boys, but the response was impressive. The DSS came out, the army reinforced the DSS, and they were able to push those guys back, because there were about 50 of them heavily armed. Perhaps they could have taken away far more innocent people if not for the timely intervention of the armed forces.
These people are entering gradually to the federal capital.
Yeah, well, the federal capital has always been vulnerable right from its creation, and I think for quite some time, long before now, a couple of people had raised issues about the vulnerability of the federal capital. The way the federal capital itself is structured, it has boundaries with several neighboring states, and yet you do not see the security that is supposed to be associated with a sensitive place like the federal capital. And you know, this threat had always been imminent. There is quite a lot of small arms in circulation, and it doesn't seem that there's much effort being done to mop up these small arms. And then the integration of the security services in having a proper template for fighting what is obviously an evolving menace in the society. When kidnapping started, it was only associated with one part of the country, but look at the way it has mutated to the extent that it has become an industry in every part of the country, and this industry is peculiar to what exists in that part of the country. As has been rightly noted, the topography of this area just works perfectly, and that is why the security services have to be more forward-looking. They have to integrate, they have to be forward-looking rather than being just waiting on it happens, which means that there's a need to up their intelligence network, also understand, so he was talking about the dens and whatever, identify where these places are, so that once something happens, these are the first places you go to, and also look ahead to the fact that it's possible that they may change their modus operandi.
Yes.
So that's the problem we have, this lack of integration, because it's sad that 2 days ago, the drone was being used to search for a helicopter that crashed in a virtually inaccessible part of Iran. Here we are still not talking about integrating such technology in what is becoming a serious menace.
Today, the Nigerian Army handled over 350 rescued people from a 10-day clearance in Sambisa Forest to the government of Borno State to be rehabilitated. 350 people.
Yes, they were being held by remnants of the Shekau faction of Boko Haram. You know, Shekau controlled the Sambisa Forest, the Mandara Mountains, the Goza area of Adamawa State. but the Abu Musab al-Banawi faction, that some would like to describe as Mama Noor faction, because he was an elderly figure within that group. They decided to stay in the islands of Lake Chad. So when this kind of rescue happens, you look at the location, you can pinpoint the faction of Boko Haram that held on to this guy. After he died, the two factions have been killing one another. Hundreds of fighters on both sides have died. And if you look at the number of the people rescued, 6 adult males, 134 females, 209 children. These were the people rescued. Usually, the bulk of the people that the army had succeeded in rescue, they are not the hardened fighters. They are not the hardened fighters. Usually, people reluctant to fight, people conscripted, people forced against their wish to stay with them. Why do we have so many women and so many children? When they raid the community, they see the women as spoils of war. So they kidnap these women, take them into the forest. They are the ones who cook for them. They turn them also to sex slaves. You can see how many of the Chibok girls have been turned to mothers. Some have even up to 3 kids. 3 kids now, as we speak, you know. So every time they raid the community, they go for women. Those women will help them with their cooking and other things that they need to do, and then they marry them off to their fighters. So I'm not surprised that we have this number of women, 134. And this will most likely be children of those women. The main fighters are nowhere to be found, because if you have just 6 adult males, that means those rescued who are not the family, yes, they are not the real fighters. So they have kept people against their wish. And it's a thing of joy that Borno State has already even put in place a structure to not just rehabilitate them, but to teach them some skills that can make them get fully integrated into the society. So I commend the Army for their consistent good work, especially in opening a corridor of safety for people being held against their wish in the Sambisa forest.
Yeah, because I wanted to say the process of reintegrating them and de-radicalizing these people.
It's always going to be a contentious issue. This issue of de-radicalization, especially if it's politicized, because first of all, it's the politicization that is the problem. A lot of people initially felt it was being done, you know, to score political points, but we know that one of the reasons why the whole deradicalization exercise was put in place was because it was one of the demands that was made by the international community if it was going to support the federal government. I mean, long before now, so it wasn't whatever, but I think, again, in the usual way, that was not well communicated to the public. And so there's that notion that, oh, they just take these people and in the name of de-radicalizing them, and then take them into the Nigerian army and so on. You know that kind of that kind of people. Yes,
you now want to be spending our money.
This was the demand by the international community. So it's good to do the de-radicalization, but it's not only the de-radicalization. How do you ensure that the people who come back do not become disillusioned by the time they come back into the society, which is the trauma, and coming back to see that they are not able to integrate themselves properly into the society.
People are reluctant to accept them.
That is one, the stigma, but then also survival. if given the general economic...
The young lady was interviewed, she said she has spent like 10 years.
Yes. So you see, sometimes they come back and after a while they just feel that...
Even one said, I remember one said back then in Maiduguri that he had never seen bananas before. He had never seen bananas before. Born into Sambisa forest, they don't grow such things there. He had never seen banana before. It was alien to him, you know. I want to see them integrated fully, but government has a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Many people think
and that is the issue.
Government is over-pampering killers while neglecting their victims. Because they saw them wearing new dresses and all that. And nobody has given that kind of attention to the victims. They are in IDP camps living from hand to mouth. They don't even know when their next meal will come. Whereas in the places where these guys are being taken care of, deradicalized, they get fed properly and they even give them new clothes. You need to see how clean those guys look. There is no way if you are a victim of Boko Haram killings,
you will not be happy.
Your blood will boil. That are the people who put us in this state. Look at the way they are looking after them. But it's an emotive issue, and I don't even want to talk too much about it.
But we can't run away from it, because that was also part of what escalated the insurgency itself. Because when the military, the way the military reacted at the initial stages, it made the populace sympathetic to the insurgents.
Yes.
And so now it's like the thing has come around the other way around. Now it's why is government now supporting these people who killed our own people. So there's quite a lot of work to be done, and a lot of sensitization to make people understand that
a lot of
we have to find a balance. So otherwise,
a lot of appeal to the conscience of the people. You know?
Ultimately, when we look at it, and when will this war stop?
Yeah, that's the problem with insurgency.
Especially it's on the large scale now.
They are not holding the charge. They are not holding.
They are holding territory. They are still in some territory, but the threat.
The threat is constituted.
I'm sure you are not reading attacks on military bases. It's not common anymore. So that threat has been diminished by consistent bombing and all that. But anyone who tells you that the threat has been removed is a practice liar. They are still around. You know?
It's the problem with insurgencies, especially
it takes time.
Yes, especially when it's fueled by this type of seemingly religious dogma. You know, it becomes more difficult.
Rather die.
Yes. So the states that are involved need to be committed to seeing that it's not just the threat has gone down and then they relax. You know, because once you relax, they too seize upon that. And,
all right, Africans say when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Reiterating this fact, the Ijaw Youth Council worldwide and other youth groups in the Niger Delta region have sounded a note of warning to Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, not to plunge the states into crisis for selfish reasons. In a communique that the youth noted that the festering feud between the two leaders can lead to anarchy and negatively impact political and economic development in the states. Meanwhile, more elders in the region are intervening in the face of former President Goodluck Jonathan has warned that they worry gladiators to toe the path of peace as the face-off may destabilize the Niger Delta region. Let's hear from the former president.
Leaders must know that nobody takes 100%. You must learn the principle of give and take. So our own political actors must work together if you love the Rivers people. You must work together if you love the Rivers people. And I join the leaders of Rivers State and the well-meaning Nigerians that have been calling for truce. They have been calling for ceasefire to also re-emphasize that there is a need for ceasefire. Outgoing governors and incoming governors must know that they work together for the collective interests of the citizens of the state. And that is critical because you must work together. In this case of Rivers State, Honorable Minister Wike and Governor Fubara must work together for developing the land and the people of Rivers State.
You know, just looking at the countenance of Fubara, he's not smiling at all. That notion that, look, we must work together.
That's not what he wants to hear. In one of his statements last week, he said this there's no room for reconciliation in this matter. He said it clearly. I read it that this
Fight to
has reached a point of no return. So when you talk in that manner, I don't think you are going to listen to anybody who says, let us make peace. Another thing, you know, as someone who has studied politicians for many years, when politicians find themselves, especially a governor, he finds himself in a situation in which the Godfather does not have the capacity to breathe down his neck anymore, he will be very happy. That you see all kinds of conflicts brewing between Godfather and Godson, because the Godson wants his freedom. He wants to be the only fish in the pond. His own man. He's not interested in someone dictating to him. What infuriates politicians the most is for him to know that he's governor, and people are going to someone else to seek for favors that a governor is in position to grant. You get the point I'm making? You want a contract. You go to a Godfather. The Godfather then calls the governor, give that person. They don't want that. The politician, most governors want to be in a situation whereby in their states, nobody is their Godfather. It's not in every situation that you find yourself there. You become governor without a Godfather. Yabelo became governor without a Godfather in Kogi because he became governor by happenstance. Yes. You know? Nobody envisaged what happened, and he became governor. So he ran the state without a Godfather telling him, do this, do that. Even some of the people helped him initially to, introduce people to him that he put into his government. Within a short time, he cut those people off. So he now had full freedom. Fubara would not want to make peace with Wike, because when you make peace, it comes with some conditions.
Negotiation.
Concede some ground. The way he is now, whatever he wants to do with his state IGR or with the FAC coming into the state, he can't do because there is no Godfather. If he makes up with Wike, there are conditions that will come with it for the two of them to enjoy working together. He doesn't want that. He wants to continue to run the state the way he's running it now, with three persons.
As lawmakers.
Three persons as lawmakers. That he is the one who sees those three persons as just the lawmakers. INEC does not recognize that. INEC, the other day, admitted receiving correspondence from the other faction about the need to replace a lawmaker that died. If INEC recognizes 3 men, INEC would not have received that correspondence. So I'm just saying that, just as an aside. But I can tell you, it's not going to, I'm not going to say it's impossible because I'm not God. But to reconcile these 2 men, especially now when someone has seen the joy of freedom, of taking decisions alone, of not having to call Wike that he wants to do this, they will try. They will try.
Well, Rivers has always been something that has bothered me in terms of the evolution of democracy in the Fourth Republic. And it's like the situation is just deteriorating, and that's why I found it a bit ironic that the former president was calling for truce, because...
Okay, just hold the breath a little. Let's take this breather. When we come back,
right.
We have to pay some bills. When we come back, we'll talk more. It's still journalist, and guys, we'll be right back after this time out. Stay with us.
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux color center to get any color instantly. Dulux, let's color.
Welcome back.
Yeah, so like I was saying before, the slot to pay the bills.
Very important.
I found it a bit ironic that the former president was trying to broker peace, because he has also contributed to muddying the waters during his own time, and one of the characters who is involved in this kind of thing was encouraged to behave that way previously.
Yes.
Jonathan encouraged that kind of thing. So it's that's why Rivers, for me, Rivers, all Nigerians have to be bothered about Rivers. If the amount of terrorism, political terrorism that is evolving in Rivers. The day it explodes in this country, it's going to have ramifications that will affect the rest of the country. And part of it, of course, is Godfatherism, as you've rightly mentioned. When we play politics without principles, it's the Godfather installs. The Godfather wants to be there like an African chief until he dies. Even if he's not on the throne, he pulls the strings from behind the scene. He's the one who determines everything. That is why we have this type of situation. And you saw what happened that led to this governor emerging, and all the shenanigans that took place that led to the emergence of this governor. So you will not be surprised that this will happen, because obviously that guy must have been biding his time and playing the fool and pretending playing along. Yes, playing along, and then and knowing where the bodies are buried, so to say. He has a hold on the other person, and then he now can boldly take it. So something really needs to be done, because if Rivers finally explodes, it's going to be catastrophic for this country. And it's not just one party now. It's gone across all the parties. Before it would be, it's the problem of this party. Yes, it's the problem of PDP. It's the problem of whatever. Now it's two major political parties. Yes, it's yes, and so it's going to be catastrophic.
I have Ahmed calling us from Ibadan in Oyo State. Thank you for joining us, Ahmed.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Good evening, Jide and Babajide and Ayo and the other guests. I want to contribute to the issue in Rivers State. So I'm happy for the governor that this thing is not happened during the Obasanjo regime. Even if it is by there, definitely I know that within 30 days the governor will be impeached, even with one House of Assembly. But now, there is nobody, as Mr. Babajide used to say. Hello, are you with me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, there is nobody, as Mr. Babajide used to say, that will sponsor you, even that reform for you. I'm not a politician. That reform for you, sponsor you, spend this money, and to become the governor. At the end of the day, you go back to his enemy and listen to his enemy and abandon the person. No one in the world that you accept that. Let's face the reality. That is why I left Mr. Babajide. He used to tell the truth. Because these guys supposed to, I've already made my point. Thank you. So let me.
Thank you, Ahmed. But if you remember, this doesn't just start today. We've always been having it. We've always had it. This situation. I do want to love the jar and
the maker of Chris Ubai,
former governor of Nasarawa State, former chairman of APC.
Yes.
He also fought his godfather. His godfather was the former MD of PPMC. Very rich, very strong. He owned this Amana Suites, one of the earliest hospitality this thing in Abuja. He was the one, he was his godfather. I remember back then, in the year 2000, the fight had begun. Very early. You may see him as an old man, former APC, middle pass APC national chairman. But he had a godfather that I quarreled with. And I know that traditional rulers came together and were begging. So his godfather eventually decided to try to enter the race so that he would stop Abdullahi from getting a second term. But he died along the line. But he was so strong, was so formidable politically in Nasarawa State because he had the money. You know, somebody, PPMC, remember PPMC, that are under NNPC. If you had, during the Abacha years, it's not small money. So, it's right in saying that you do not help a person to attain office and then you'll be happy to see him work for your enemy. But as we have said, it's not the first time in our country. And as I've said to Yuson Wike, look, this thing happened to people before you. Danjuma Goje, two governors, he produced two governors on the bounce. Those two governors turned against him. Dankwambo and the man who is dead now. The man who is governor today, the man who is governor today was a commissioner under Danjuma Goje. Bukola Saraki turned against his dad at a time when he was even going to leave office. He went against the choice of his dad. He caused power shift. He caused power shift to go to Kwara South, and that produced Fatai against the choice that his father made. The sister. People will even say that he retired his dad politically. That's an example. And I remember Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu saying something in those early days when he was governor, that you will never know what power can do until you try your own son with power.
Stephen is calling us from Abuja. Thank you for staying with us, Stephen.
All right. Good evening to Babajide and the other guests and Ozubakun.
Good evening.
All right, well done. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, just a minute, please. Let me touch on the previous topic, and then I'll summarize on the next one.
Please.
Now, the security issues on banditry, I want to profile solution and not complain anymore. Can we please harness all the intelligent hands, those that have studied in the institution about intelligence, gathering information, and the government bring these people to a round table? Because intelligence is lacking, that is one. And then number two, can this country stop playing politics with the lives of innocent children? The ladies, according to Babajide, he said the most vulnerable are the women and the children. And you know that's the soft target. Now, imagine people going to the hills, picking up people, and nobody even makes an attempt to stop them? Are there no people in that community? Let politics stop and let this thing be handled once and for all. If the country needs to come to a standstill to cope the whole 36 states, let them do it, because the most painful part of it is this. When little civilian issue is going on, you see the battalions of army that is being sent to those places. But when people are being kidnapped, just a minute few military personnel, I mean, something is wrong.
Thank you, Steve.
Then, secondly, on the Wike and Fubara issue, please, there should be a new constitution that will...
You're talking about Godfather and Godsons.
Yes. So as long as we don't do politics with principles, you are in power and you want to determine who the successor is, your successor is, it's natural that your successor eventually also wants to establish his own parameters of influence.
But we've seen some model that has worked so far.
It's worked in some places. And look at Delta, for example. You may call Ibori names, but Ibori successfully instituted a political
family.
Yes, he set up a political family, yeah, and the kind of transition that ensures that there is no rancor. All the 3 senatorial zones in the state, including the least populated of them all, have produced governors. And once they say, okay, this is the person that we want, everyone queues behind that person. If not, would you expect, for example, that if it was simply to be thrown open, that a senatorial zone that has only 3 local government will produce a governor? That is the Shekiri produced a governor in Delta State. Many people thought it could never happen, but it happened. And then it's now gone back to Central. North, Delta North.
And normal people.
They produced a governor. That is what I find that very, very good. I find that a kind of formula that can help to achieve peace.
Rotate peacefully.
Yes, and inclusion. But as we all know, this thing, Fubara, true, even if he gets the freedom, total freedom that he wants, and you too want to put someone there.
Naturally.
Those fighting for him today, because his face looks like that of a gentle innocent, they can see the way he's talking now that he's not as innocent as we portrayed him. He too want to put his own person there. But we must tell him today that when you want to put your person there after maybe 8 years, if the Rivers people allow him to do 8 years, that person may still go against you. I've seen it.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah.
So Mahmoud is calling us from Zamfara State. Thank you for joining us, Mahmoud.
Hello.
Yes, please.
On this issue of William Fubara, I think as long as the father wants to stay relevant, definitely peace will never reign. Please, we need to understand that he has done his part. When he was a governor of the state, now he has shifted from there. He should have allowed her to exercise his rights during the tenure. So, one thing to stay relevant at all time and all costs, never allow peace to reign in that state as far as politics is concerned.
Thank you, Mahmoud.
Thank you, Mahmoud.
I wanted to say easy.
Is it trying to try to be relevant? Ultimately, even in Pakistan, it's not only in Nigeria that this Godfather thing.
It's not about our interests,
It's about interests, politics without principles, and then at the end of the day, we don't have the best people running the state. So when you look at, he said Ibori have succeeded, but would you, in all honesty, say Delta State has gotten the best.
No, it doesn't matter.
Of
it's
the
a different government, good governance.
That Delta has, you know, and that is the real downside, because it's more of protecting personal interests cronyism than the development of the larger populace.
No, but the people respect them.
Yeah.
Our politics is just like growing up in Ilorin. Whatever Olusola Saraki said was what the people did.
It's just like Lagos State.
He successfully changed away an incumbent governor just by announcing 2 days to the election that Ojo Saturday, he just said it. When they were raising up, Adamu Atta's name, my mom was watching on TV, was telling me, you will see what will happen on Saturday. Because they couldn't solve that, they couldn't resolve the differences. It's just like Wike and this.
It has always been like that.
They were quarreling. He brought Adamu Atta from Ghana, made him governor. Then he now felt that Adamu Atta was not showing respect. So he made up his mind that he would teach him a political lesson. And Saraki, as a politician, was so cagey, so sneaky, yes, and tactical. He went, had an alliance with some elements in the UPN that time. He backed Adebayo, Cornelius Adebayo, against the candidate of his own party. And where the UPN was so strong, where the MPN was so strong, he dominated elections there, except in Ibira land, where the Ibira people voted overwhelmingly for their son. But it was not enough to retain Adamu Atta in power. The people, when the politician, when the Godfather shows strength, it is because the people permit him. He cannot win an election all by himself. In those days, you dare not even abuse him in public. They will come for you. Buhari did not win election by himself. People loved him. People wanted him to be there. And Buhari also ensured that he installed people as governors. Masari was one person that Buhari insisted. The first time he tried it didn't work. The second time he insisted, Masari became governor. So this is our nature. Once you become so powerful, you can see that the people love you. You begin to expand your frontiers, your political frontiers, and it will be difficult to brush you aside. People saying that, as long as people seek relevance, everyone seeks relevance. There's no politician who will deliberately not want to be relevant. I've not seen that kind of politician, except if he's pretending.
All right. And finally, it may not solve Nigeria's fuel supply woes, but it is cheering to hear that the Port Harcourt Refinery will soon begin operation. The Public Relations Officer of the Independent Marketer Association of Nigeria, Ukadike Chinedu, said the refinery may begin operations by the end of July. It is expected to produce 210,000 barrels of refined oil per day. You know, cherry news.
Yeah, cherry news, but my worry is who is giving the message? Who is the messenger? The messenger is not an insider. So I take it with a pinch of salt, because the details he's giving us, or what he has given us, does not address the details where we've had this delay. Because the source that
this is not the first time.
Yeah, this is not the first time to start with. And then there's the issue of when I was reading up one of the news reports, it said that they were waiting for approvals about some of the nuclear-related things they use in the refinery, something of that sort, and that has to do with international bodies giving that approval. So I take it with a pinch of salt, because when are they going to get the approvals for the use of those nuclear-related things in the refinery? And we know the politics of refineries in Nigeria. That is what has brought us grounded our refineries. And are there people who are happy or would be happy that our refineries are picking up? Certainly not. There are people who prefer that they are the ones who control taking the crude out, refining and bringing back and whatever. And they don't, it's like your generator cartel. you know, the generator cartel that would never the generator cartel that would never want power.
Let us have light.
Yes, they will never let us have light, because once we have constant electricity, constant and consistent, the generator cartel collapses. So I think that is something we really need to face if we are really serious, that we have to accept the fact that there is this threat and address that threat. Otherwise, and then ensure that we don't fall back to the same problem. After 2 years, the refineries pack up again.
Jimmy?
Actually, when I read this, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Because we were told that before Christmas last year, this refinery will be ready. After that, we were again told that before the end of second quarter, quarter 2, 2024, it will be ready. Remember, Kyari, the GMD, NNPCL, told us that by April, I think he told Nigerians on April 15 this year, that by the end of April, the refinery will start working. Then the Minister of Petroleum, Oil, Henrique Lopobri, told us in December that the mechanical and flare start-off of the refinery has been completed. Now, the Hitman PRO, Ukadike Chinedu, is the one telling us that this 210,000 barrels per day refinery would begin work at the end of July. What is the source of information he's giving us? It doesn't work inside the refinery. It's not a staff of NNPC. He could well be telling us what he was told. I think that in the true sense, we've been led by the nose too much by this Port Harcourt refinery thing. And I'm really ashamed to be hearing even Kyari, who heads NNPC, coming out to tell Nigerians that this thing will start working on its own day, and it doesn't happen. He needs to explain to Nigeria what is the problem with him and his people. If you as the man who runs our national oil company, if you come to tell us that, gentlemen, let me announce to you, let me give you good news. On so day, this refinery will start working. We should be able to believe Kyari. And if Kyari tells us that at the end of April, and then we are in May, and we have not seen any sign that something is wrong, he needs to come out and address Nigerians to say, look, okay, in the past I misled you, but gentlemen and ladies, forgive me. I'm telling you now, this is the definitive date. Then we will all be happy. Because people know that if these refineries are working, Port Harcourt, even Dangote, with its 650,000 barrels per day capacity, it can feed the whole of West Africa, diesel and PMS. We should be able to, we will be able to bring down the price of PMS. Because a country that is spending, I was looking at, I think 6.2 trillion, 6.2 trillion annually
for refining,
and more than $4 billion on simply, importing refined crude, that is petrol. We will be able to save money, even Forex. We'll have more Forex to push into the foreign exchange market. If the 4 billion plus that we are spending every year, we don't have to spend it. The 6.2 trillion that we are spending, the 600 billion that we are spending every month to import, we have to help our nation. If there are saboteurs inside NNPC, making sure that we continue to import, Holy Ghost fire. You have a job to do.
Well,
you have a job to do. We can't continue like this.
That's what I'm
How long is it going to take, for God's sake?
Because this is part of what a lot of people call them moribund.
Yes.
They have workers, they have people that
extortionate salaries.
It's like your Ajaokuta steel, whatever. You know, we prefer the projects to be abandoned, they become white elephants, while some people make it. And of course, it's a conspiracy, internal and external conspiracy. But you know, for people who are in position of leadership, it always bothers me why they don't see that this is the least you can do for your people is to ensure that these things work. This is a blessing for your people. Why do you want the foreign refineries to be the ones benefiting? You take the crude, all the byproducts from the crude, we don't get them back. You know, that's another thing. We take it and refine and we just get the basic things that we want. All the byproducts, all the products directly want to be thrown out. So meanwhile, if we refine here, I mean, it's the economy. The economy is going to benefit in so many ways because of the various byproducts that come from the refining process. So it's always like I always tell my students when we talk about international communication, I tell them, go and look at the process of refining crude and the byproducts. And they come back the next day and they are like, is this what is happening to our country? And I say, well, that
hundreds of
even most Nigerians know that this is what happens. Nigerians would revolt. All look at all the byproducts. You take these things abroad, you supplement the refineries and the industries abroad.
We are even the economies of other places.
Yes, that is it. That is it.
At our own detriment.
Okay.
Some of the places where we refine.
If we stop those refineries, we close down.
They don't even have oil.
Yes. If we stop those refineries, we close down.
All right. I will thank you. Show. Thank you for your contribution today. And the maestro himself, Babajide Kolade. And that's all for you today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the pre-broadcast tonight of this episode tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 for journalist hangout on Sunday. You can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubakum. Bye for now.
There was a shutdown. But this time it's going to be a night to remember. Lagos, are you ready? It's Ogbuefi Live in Lagos from Onitsha to Lagos. Featuring AY, Clint the Drunk, Nedu Wazobia, Senator, Funny Bone, MC Danfo, Edo Pikin, Kaboko, Sawan and War, Albina Brothers, and lots more. Musical performances by Ayi Dons, Onyeze, Faculty, and many others. Venue, Eco Hotels and Suites, Lagos. Date is Sunday, 26th May 2024. Show starts by 7 p.m. Tickets, regular 5,000 Naira. VIP, 25,000 Naira. Gold table, 2 million Naira. Premium table, 3 million Naira. Tickets are available at all Ebadan supermarkets or visit ariatickets.com. For table reservations, please call 0703-309-9740. Supported by Taka Group, Vera Angela Solution, Vintage, Bolero Champagne, Wayne Homes, ICA Properties, Cubana Group, Demaco Wine, Viper Engine Oil, and Agu.ng. This event is powered by Talk Empire and Amana Agu. Packaged by Lanre Maku Event. Media partners, TVC.
The following is a paid presentation by Shopex TV.
Tired of pans that scratch and stick? Or cookware that takes up valuable space in your kitchen and are of little to no use? Cooking used to be fun, but now it just feels like a chore. Introducing Shopex Gotham Hammered Copper Collection, the perfect cookware to upgrade